One of the most puzzling unsolved cases in history is the disappearance and death of the Jamison family. What seemed like a typical plan for a family who just wanted to view a piece of property ends in darkness as they go missing afterward and are then found dead in the woods. So what really happened to the Jamison family? Hi, welcome to our channel. In this video, we're going to learn about the case of the Jamison family and their mysterious disappearance on October 8, 2009. This case remains unsolved because multiple possibilities for their deaths came up, but not a single theory could be confirmed. Now, is there an answer that will bring this case to a close? Before we get to know the answer to that question, have you heard of the Jamison case before? Tell us in the comments below. The Jamisons were a family of three: Bobby Dale Jamison, his wife Sherilyn, and their 6-year-old daughter Madison. When the Jamison family vanished, they were living in Eufaula, Oklahoma, and getting ready to move to Red Oak, Oklahoma. Bobby had a car accident in 2003 that hurt his back, and he had chronic pain because of it. Sherilyn had bipolar disorder and took medication for it. However, her condition was not well controlled, and she often felt very depressed. Their marriage was not in a good place, and the family tended to keep to themselves. The day they disappeared, the family went on a 30-mile trip to a place called Red Oak in the Sans Bois mountain range. They wanted to buy the 40-acre piece of land there. The idea was to live in a storage shed they already had on that land. Bobby and Sherilyn met with someone who knew the landowner. When the meeting was over, the family parked their vehicle and went for a short walk, about 15 minutes long. They took their GPS device and found a peaceful spot on a hillside. After coming back to their vehicle, they drove a bit more and then, strangely, they disappeared. They left their truck locked in the middle of a dirt road. The Sans Bois Mountains are a small set of hills in the southeastern part of Oklahoma, which is a minor part of the Ouachita Mountains. These hills are in Haskell and Latimer counties in Oklahoma. The name Sans Bois is French and means without forest or without wood in English. Sherilyn's son from a previous relationship, Colton, saw her 2 weeks before the family disappeared. He said that during that time, she didn't talk about their plans to move to the Sans Bois area. At one point before their disappearance, their pastor revealed that Bobby and Sherilyn talked to him about their belief that there were evil spirits in their home. They thought they might need to do an exorcism to get rid of these spirits. They were worried because their daughter Madison had started talking to an imaginary friend named Emily, and Sherilyn thought Emily might be a bad spirit. At one point, Bobby even asked the pastor if he knew where to buy special bullets to shoot some spirits that he believed were on the roof of their house. He was also planning to try and get rid of the spirits in their home using a copy of the Satanic Bible that he had bought. Later on, this would be used as one of the possibilities for their disappearance and death. Also, a friend of Sherilyn told the police that she and Sherilyn sometimes did seances together, but Sherilyn took them much more seriously than her friend did. Sherilyn had also written messages on their storage container about her black cats being poisoned because she believed that someone in the neighborhood had killed her cats. She thought that witches didn't like it when their cats were killed. Both friends and family agreed with the Jamison family that their home was haunted. Some of them also said that they experienced strange things inside the house. Sherilyn's best friend, Nikki Shenold, said, "Honestly, that house felt haunted. I don't want to sound crazy, but every time I went there, I felt a really bad presence. I would leave feeling really sad and down." These details would eventually be a factor for the police in analyzing what could have possibly happened with the Jamisons. Before we get to know the full story of their disappearance and death, what are your thoughts so far after knowing the background of the Jamison family? Do you think that their strange behavior played a role in the tragedy that happened to them? Let us know in the comments below. At first, when Bobby and Sherilyn were missing, none of their friends and family were worried. They would sometimes go off the grid, and Madison had already stopped going to school. Then on Saturday, October 17, 2009, hunters on dirt bikes found the Jamisons' truck abandoned in Latimer County, northwest of Red Oak. They called the police to report the vehicle. Initially, the police thought the truck might have been stolen because the report suggested it had only been left by the side of the road for a few hours. However, later that day, the same hunter called the police again to confirm that he had seen the truck there, abandoned for several days. The truck was about an hour's drive away from the Jamison family's home in Eufaula. Even though they looked hard around the truck, the Jamison family was nowhere to be found. Initially, the sheriff of Latimer County, Israel Beauchamp, thought that the truck might have been stolen, but soon he realized that something much more serious had happened. He organized a massive search effort with over 400 volunteers, horses, mules, ATVs, 16 teams of dogs trained to find dead bodies, and an unmanned drone. Despite all this effort, they didn't find any signs of the missing family. During the searches, the teams of dogs repeatedly picked up a scent near a nearby water tower. They even drained the water tower, but they still didn't find any evidence related to the missing family. When the police searched the truck, they found Bobby and Sherilyn's phones, $32,000 in cash, maps, a GPS device, Sherilyn's purse, and wallets. They also found the family's dog, who was very thirsty and malnourished. The truck was in good working condition, had fuel, and hadn't been in an accident. Finding $32,000 in cash hidden under the driver's seat raised questions because, at the time, the family was receiving disability benefits. People wondered if they intended to use the money to buy the land, or if there might be something more suspicious, like involvement in drug activities. Inside the truck, investigators discovered an 11-page letter from Sherilyn to Bobby, filled with strong negative feelings. In the letter, she accused him of not caring about their daughter and listed all the things she disliked about Bobby, including that he was a recluse. She also expressed her desire for a divorce. During their initial investigations, the police didn't find any signs of a physical fight inside the vehicle or on the ground around the truck. There was no blood or shattered glass, although there was some scattered trash near the truck. On November 16, 2013, deer hunters discovered the skeletal remains of 2 adults and 1 child just 2.7 miles away from where the truck was found. They were in a very remote area called Smokestack Hollow on Panola Mountain. The 3 bodies were in a highly deteriorated state, consisting mainly of skulls, various bones, and bone fragments, along with the victim's shoes and bits of clothing. It took 8 months of forensic testing to confirm that these remains belonged to Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison Jamison. When asked why the earlier searches hadn't found anything despite their thoroughness, an assistant special agent from the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation explained that falling leaves might have hidden the bodies, because the remains had decayed significantly over the 4 years since their disappearance. It was impossible to determine how they died. However, one of the skulls, which belonged to Bobby, had a small hole that was initially thought to be a gunshot wound. Later, the police stopped pursuing this lead, but the hunters who found the bodies disagreed with their conclusion. The police discovered surveillance video footage taken outside the Jamison family's home. In the video, Bobby and Sherilyn were seen repeatedly walking back and forth between their house and their truck, doing this about 20 times. They appeared to be in a strange zombie-like state. Sometimes they didn't even have anything in their hands, and there were moments when they would just stop and stand there with empty expressions on their faces. One theory is that the Jamison family might have gotten lost in the woods and died from the cold. But there are issues with this idea. When they were found, their bodies were in a strange position, like they had been executed. They were also quite far from their truck, and Bobby's back problems made it unlikely he would go walking in the hills. Another odd thing is that their truck looked like it was leaving, but was stopped by someone. Another possibility is a murder-suicide because Sherilyn's missing .22 caliber pistol raises questions, although there's no gunshot evidence on Sherilyn or Madison. One more theory suggests satanic cult involvement based on Sherilyn's mother's claims, but no evidence of a cult link has been found. A drug deal gone wrong is another speculation, given the area's drug activity, Bobby's reports about local meth labs, and the family's unusual behavior. However, no drug-related evidence was discovered in their home. These theories raise puzzling questions, leaving the case shrouded in mystery with no definitive answers. The last possible theory for this case involves Bobby's father. The Jamison family had a legal dispute with Bobby's dad, Bob Dean Jamison, whom they accused of threatening them over business matters. Bob Dean had a history of conflict with his son, involving a disagreement about profits from a gas station sale. There were also rumors of his ties to questionable activities. However, he passed away 2 months after the family's disappearance, and despite his troubles, some family members didn't believe he was capable of murder. The Jamison family's murder case remains a mystery, and it's unlikely to ever be fully solved. It's unique because there are no known suspects or motives, and there is very little evidence. Nonetheless, investigators continue to work on it, holding out hope that new clues may emerge someday. But what are your final thoughts on this case? Which theory seems most plausible to you? Share it in the comments below. If this video helped you understand this story better, give it a like, click subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching.